Hi, Chris here at Bolton Live. We're in West Staunton today. We're interviewing the Member of Parliament for Bolton West, Julie Hilling. Hi Julie, you've been MP for Bolton West now for over a year. How's it gone and has it been everything you thought it'd be?
I mean, it has been an amazing, amazing journey. And I don't know quite what I expected. I think a lot of it is as I expected, but there's just the extra bits as well. So I always thought that when the chamber was sitting, for instance, that there'd be nothing else on, and that's not true. I think every minute of every day you should be in at least 4 different places. And the challenge, especially to start with, was deciding which one of those places should I be in, which was the most important for Bolton West, which was the most important for my constituents for me to be at. But politicians say, it's an honour and a privilege to serve the community. It is truly, absolutely an honour and a privilege to be an MP and to serve your community. It's not words. It is amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
How do you think the government's spending cuts will affect the people of Bolton?
They are. I think it's just going to be awful. I mean, it's starting to be awful. The number of people that come to the surgery who are really concerned about particularly cuts to DLA at the moment, cuts to justice to civil legal aid, people who are losing their businesses because the government cut Better Schools for the Future Fund. It's just awful. It is unbelievably awful. And I think people say, oh well, Labour would have made cuts as well. But we wouldn't have made cuts like this, and we truly wouldn't have made cuts like this. I mean, Bolton Council, for instance, were told that had Labour stayed in power, they would have had to find £15 million worth of cuts this year. As soon as after the election, they had to find cuts immediately in year, which was awful because you've got no lead up to do that. And they're now having to find £42 million worth of cuts this year, compared with 15, 42 million. And another 18 million next year. And it is, I mean, it's too deep, it's too fast. It doesn't give the council a chance to work a way through things. And one of the good examples is Animal World in Mossbank Park.
Yeah.
Animal World, there's a group of people who are interested in taking over running Animal World, but they just haven't got the time to do it. The animals are currently being moved off to other zoos because the council's got to get rid of its zoo licence. If only they'd been given a run-in to do it, then Animal World would be up and going. But it's too deep, too fast. The council hasn't got a choice either. It's not that the council's making a decision. They don't have a choice. It's awful, and I think our people are going to suffer. And if you compare us with southern councils, we are getting a huge, huge hit, where some councils are getting virtually none. Dorset is actually getting an increase. It makes no sense, and it's not right.
Yeah. Julie, what have you done to hold the government accountable for its actions?
Yeah, I speak as often as I can.
Yeah.
I'll ask questions, meet with ministers, meet with shadow ministers, and make speeches. So I've now spoken in 60 debates, I think it is. So it's trying to be active down there and actually saying to them, look at what you're doing. And I like to speak about the realities. I don't speak sort of up there about the theory. It's what's happening to people in my constituency by their actions. And it's hard. It is hard. They've got a big majority down there. And at the moment we're going to lose every vote. But we've still got to keep fighting on, keep battling on and telling them that they're wrong.
Yeah. Labour recently took control of Bolton Council. How will that benefit the people of Bolton?
I think one thing that it does do, it makes decision making so much easier, that it's not then about trying to reach compromise with the Lib Dems and with the Tories. So I think it's much easier when you've got overall control that you can actually put through your policies. And if people don't like those policies, well, they've got the elections next year to vote against the council. So I think it makes it much cleaner. I think it also has been extremely difficult because during this past year, the Tories and the Lib Dems on Bolton Council have agreed with what the government's been doing, and I think then holding up some of the policies that the council are trying to put into place. Now, it's good to have strong opposition. I think it is good to have strong opposition, but it's good when you've got clear decision making. And you've only got to look at the government and the difficulties that they're getting in because they don't, the Tories don't have an overall majority. And I think if you replicate that in Bolton, there are difficulties when you don't have that overall majority. So I think it's going to be really positive for Bolton. and notwithstanding the difficulties that they're going to have to face because of what's being done to them from the government.
Have you got anything planned for the rest of your term?
One of the things that my staff get really upset with me, it's like, oh goodness, she's not taken something else on. I find it really hard because people come all the time with really worthwhile causes. Yeah. But I've got a few things that I'm doing immediately. And one of those is emergency life skills. And I don't know if anybody's ever heard of emergency life skills. No. But it's a set of skills. It's about choking, bleeding and heart attacks. And anybody can do it. Yeah. And if you go to somewhere like Seattle, actually that's the best place to have a heart attack in the world because you can't get a driving licence, you can't graduate school unless you've learned the set of emergency life skills. Now Smithers School does it. I want all of the schools in Bolton West to do it, so I'm just in the middle of sending out a letter to schools to see can I support them in doing it. But I also tried to get it into the education bill because I was on the bill committee. But the government's turning us down, so I'm going to keep fighting for that. Because can you imagine a situation where whenever you had something happen to you, somebody's there to try and save your life. So that's one of the things. I also want to try and bring businesses together to do some charitable, look about doing more charitable giving because so many of the voluntary sector projects are just struggling at the moment, really losing out. And I want to talk to people, see what the issues are that they want me to raise down there. Youth work is another big issue because the youth service nationally is being absolutely destroyed. There's just too many, really. And the other thing, I mean, road safety has been a big issue for me in the constituency so far. I want to carry on fighting on road safety. And the careers and connections service, Connections is being destroyed and the government's saying, oh, we want to improve careers. So I'm going to direct you to a website. So all I can promise, and I can promise the voters here, that I will be fighting every minute of every day to try and make things better for them.
Yeah. So if people in Bolton want to get involved in local politics, what would you recommend they go about it?
I think one of the things that they really need to decide is which party, because there's a reality now with politics that it's most people get elected with a party. So it is look and see which party you're most closely aligned to. There are some independents, but I think it's also better to be part of that group. And get involved, talk to people, come and talk to people like me, talk to local councillors, and get active. And I think it is rewarding, but it's also about trying to fight for your community, making a difference. That's all, I think all any politician ever wants to do, despite what the media may say, is try and make a difference and make things better. And that's got to be your driver, so yeah, talk to people and come and join us door knocking and phoning and meeting people.
Okay, Julie Hilling, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
That was Julie Hilling with Bolton Live. I'm Chris, thanks for watching.